I tried to create a business object using the SOAP web service a little while ago, and I don't know if I have it on here or not. I'm gonna Google it real quick, but I couldn't get it to work. Here it is. No, that's not mine. Mine's not a year old. But yeah, I was trying to do this. Here it is. And I posted it, fairly detailed post. I bumped it a couple times. I didn't get a response. I'm stuck on that one, actually. I have not been able to use Create Business Object through the SOAP web service. Not just on version 9.4, but I tried it on 8.3.1, and I kept getting this one error, and I don't know what it is. I've tried putting C data around it. I've tried other stuff, and this weekend I just decided I'm just going to use the REST API. I've avoided the REST API for far too long. Other people have tried to use the REST API. I've seen it work many times, and the SOAP API will probably disappear at some point, so it works. Hey everyone, this is Douglas Robinson with DevEdit Software, LLC, and in this video we're going to be going over creating items or creating records in the Cherwell REST API. I'm going to be doing this on Cherwell version 9.4, which we installed on our environment recently. I've been playing around with all the new features. In this one, this isn't really going to be a new feature. I just, honestly, I was building a map that involves the REST API, and I thought, you know what, this would be a great opportunity to record a video on creating records with the Cherwell REST API, so that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to go ahead and copy out our little template here for what we need to actually send in our request. I think I might just pop that up in Notepad. Alright, so as far as what we've done in Cherwell so far, I have a one step that will log me into the Cherwell REST API. So this calls a web service, and what this does is it sends the username, the password, the grant type, which is password, and our client ID. It sends a header of, URL form encoded data, and then it stores the access token into a stored value. Now I'm not going to get into this part very much, and it doesn't take much time to cover it anyways, but essentially we're just calling the login method and then treating the response as JSON and taking out the access token element, putting it into a stored value, and now with that we can create a new action that'll create a new record after we've signed into the API. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to name my new one step. And here we're going to call another web service. Actually, before I do that, this runs a one step. So this runs our login to Cherwell via REST API one step. Now you can put some conditions on this to check whether the token's expired and all that. I'm just going to have it log in every time I need to send this. It doesn't take very much to do that. If you're constantly logging in, maybe that can affect your performance. But in this instance, I'm just going to be very simple and just log in and then create the record because it's not going to happen very frequently. And I mostly just need to get the format for this for something else. So what we're going to do here is we're going to connect to our Cherwell REST API web service. We're going to store all this stuff and tell it not to stop on error. And now for body content, we're going to paste in the same thing that we had here in the web browser. So this over here, data type, this model schema, this is what we're actually going to be sending. And up at the top is what we're going to get back, but we're going to worry about that once we've actually gotten a response with that information. Honestly, I've been putting this video off a little bit because I'm not looking forward to it, and I just realized I can't zoom this. This would actually drive me a little bit nuts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this from Notepad, and then I'll get back to it. So I'm just going to put in a value here of 1, and for content type, I think we're going to go with application JSON. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a bit. I wasted 20 minutes troubleshooting an issue that didn't technically exist because I started moving ahead and I tried sending all of my information for creating a business object to my method for logging in. So with that, I'm going to create a new method because I just wasted 20 minutes because I didn't create a new method. So this method's going to be called create business object. And we're going to have a URL here. It was all because I didn't read this. So with that, we're just going to, I want to try to copy this. With that, we're going to go here and we're going to modify, a little focus trick for you. So you notice, and darn, this is on version 9.4. So Cherwell has a little bit of a bug with different windows that are always on top taking focus. If you run into this issue and you don't know how to fix it yet or the workaround, open up some other window that's, not full size and then just minimize it. And usually it pops stuff back into focus. So, handy little trick there. Now I don't know actually if this needs to be Cherwell API/API. Let me look at this other thing I was shamelessly copying stuff from because it was actually useful. Okay, so it is going to be Cherwell API/API. That is useful. So API/ all this, save business object. Now what's interesting is this thing I was reading on the community site while I was troubleshooting all that junk, they are sending their authorization header with their API key in it, and that's right here. But they're also including it as part of the URL, and I think that's pretty interesting. I don't know if we need to do that, but it's something I'm keeping in mind. So we're going to send a body parameter, and we're also going to send an authorization parameter, and that's a header. And then finally we have a content type, and that's also a header. So I think those are the parameters that I need. We're going to click OK, and here, so we've got content type already defined, we've got body. My authorization parameter doesn't seem to exist. Oh, I need to change this to create business object. So we've got body, and that one, we've got body. Sorry, had to make the joke. That one we're just copying out of here. Authorization we have is bearer, capital B. You don't get to hear it because I edited out my video pretty significantly. But I tested this out with a lowercase b and then later realized it probably needs to be capital. So we've got application JSON for content type. And then all this gets stored and it shows up in a pop-up. So we're going to click OK. We're going to click Run. Here's our pop-up for logging in. Very pretty, this wall of text. And then, so this one's an interesting one. It's at least different. Different is progress. So it says the request contains an entity body but no content type header. That means I probably have a typo in my name for that header. Let me look at this because I know I defined it. So at this point, we weren't able to figure out what was wrong with our request. I'm suspicious about whether I entered the content type wrong because I don't always deal with that. So at this point, I'm Googling what that content type should be. That looks like what I'm sending, although that uses a / where I'm using a \. Maybe I need an accept header. We'll try it. I'm going to try two things. I'm going to try two very important things. I'm going to try adding an accept header, and then I'm going to try it with the / on accept JSON, and then I'm going to try it with the \. Because I'm sad to say I don't work with APIs enough to know the difference between the two. Except for the fact that \ is usually used as a separator and gets escaped out like all the time. Okay, so we've got create business object. We're going to add an accept header. And honestly, I usually never use that kind of header. Although, I'm pretty sure that's what this result type thing does. I don't know if you can currently override the accept header, but I'm going to try it anyways. New errors are progress. So we're going to go application JSON with the /. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to try it again. 500. This is a new error. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. General failure. So what I get out of this is that our headers are actually correct, but something's wrong with our request. I don't know what that thing is. There's no field validation errors. It just says object reference not set to an instance of an object. And that's a hard one to troubleshoot. It really is. I don't imagine there's going to be anything more specific in here because, you know, that's what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to try setting more fields. Very first thing I'm going to try, let me look at this. I'm going to change this display name, field name here, because I don't trust putting spaces in there. I really don't. I've seen that not work just far too many times. So we're going to try this with a field ID. And instead of a display name, we're going to find that field's ID. So we're going to go into the administrator tool. Here's the field we're trying to update. We're going to get the field ID from here. And we're going to try updating it that way. Okay. I'm going to take this out of here. We're going to go modify our one step once more. Here's our body. Great. Here's all this junk. Try it again. Hey! It works! Look at that! Look at that! So we've got a BizOb public ID response. We've got a BizOb rec ID response. Some other metadata. And more importantly, it worked. We're going to strip out the public ID and rec ID. And you know what? Normally, I work with JSON I work with XML all the time, but JSON's just as good. So we've got BizOb rec ID, BizOb public ID, and what we do here, when we create our business object, if we want those values, we take our result, sorry, I was pausing so I could type. We take our web service result, we treat it as JSON. See, I'm so familiar with XML that I just always say that. And we say string from element. BizOb rec ID. Done. BizOb public ID. Just going to copy that for my own convenience. And then here, if we want that, we append it as so. Now we click run, we've logged in, and hey! Our record has been created again. Now I notice it didn't pull out my values. So we've got everything we need here. Our record is getting created. If we go and find that record, we should be able to see it's been created somewhere. So we created a, oh no, I don't have it in my search. I'm gonna have to create one. We created a defined API request, and here's a workaround if you never use the search builder for objects that aren't in the search manager. Create a record in that object first, and then you can edit the current search and click OK, and then you can search. Look at that. So here's one that was created manually, and here's one that was created via the API. Here's one that was created via the API. So that's all we really needed to do. So as we make changes going forward, all that I need to do, and I think part of it was, you know, use a field ID, and then the other part of my issue was that I wasn't including an accept header, and that I was using I wasn't using a backslash, I was using a forward slash. No, I was using a backslash. That I was using a backslash instead of a forward slash. When I was doing application JSON for content type. But aside from that, If we wanted to update this in the future and do more fields, you would just copy this once for every field and update the field ID and value, and there you go. And you can update this business object afterwards. I don't have a need to do that, but this has been our video on how to create business objects using the Cherwell REST API. If you want to see more videos like this one, check out our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it using the button below. You can go and look at our YouTube or look at our website, which is definitesoftware.com, and view the many, many, many maps that we are working on and putting on there every other week. Thanks. Have a nice day.